ain't just that, be sure to hit that like button, share this content, let that friend, that neighbor know where to go when it's time to tune in to Cowboys sports talk and beyond. That's including this offseason. This offseason is a real long one. But before we go further, Cowboys Nation, we got to iron out what's realism, what's fakes. It's the lion season, by the way. Come on. Let's get it. Ain't no party like a cowboy party. But what about a Law Nation's groove from my studios to yours? Brought to you by Frenkel and Frenkel Personal Injury Lawyers. Coaching new hires. Plus, more and more. More and more. For the record and on the record, Law Nation Sports, I really don't believe that the Cowboys should even entertain the trade conversation. Let's get it. And as this room fill up, be sure to hit that like button, share this content, let that friend or that neighbor know where to go. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. It's just me and you. 6580. You know, Jay Fuller. Appreciate the 2 people in here. All right. As the room fill up, and I know the off season is long, right? And most of you guys are not in the loop of things. So I don't know whether what's going on with the gram, not the gram, but the YouTube. But everywhere else, we getting great tensions. But neither here nor there. Cowboys, as we talk about this and we go through this, it's always news that permeate throughout the Cowboys world about this. And that is the offseason and how long will it be and where will it be and who is going on in here. So the first bead of information I want to go over while it's just the 2 of us in here. Shout out to you, Jay Fuller and Koo. I think that's how you say your name. First thing that we got to talk about is the trade value first, right? And then we can go into details. But I think that, you know, when you listen to some of the people, like my guy Nick Harris, I thought that he did a great job of lamenting and executing his thought tracks on this. And let's listen to this right quick.
Sunday, when Ian Rappaport, the biggest report that I think came out of the weekend was on Sunday, when Ian Rappaport said that trading George Pickens is an option that's being weighed.
Right.
And so I have a scout buddy. He works in the AFC. I called him and I was like, "Hey, man, you don't know this situation at all. This is your third-party lens, 10,000-foot view lens, looking at this situation. What do you think the Cowboys could get in a theoretical George Pickens trade?" He's like, second-round pick at the best-case scenario with a day 3 pick swap. But in reality, you're probably maybe looking at a 3rd and a 4th. It's like, so it's really no different than what you did a year ago. There's no trade value in this conversation. And if the word trade gets brought up at any point with George Pickens, it's got to be because it's part of the negotiation on the other side. Being like, hey, we did this with this guy last year. We could do it again. We've shown that we're willing to do so, but it's a much different situation here.
No doubt. I agree with Nick Harris. There shouldn't even be a conversation at all. There shouldn't even be a thought track of it. But in order for us to scale from one level to the next, it's one of those things whereas the Cowboys, based off of past history, has been a thorn in the side, right, of current memories. And the problem is with this, ladies and gentlemen, is that the Cowboys themselves has painted themselves into a corner with this, because I believe that the borrowed credibility and the overall consumptions of trust has been wiped away. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I can say maybe, because the element of surprise is what I'm looking for. And I think that the Cowboys in general, in fullness, that they must figure out a way to remove themselves from the shadow of the doubts of people, right? But the only way that they can get that going would be this right here. Switching it up and winning. Now, they caught up with Jerry Jones, the TMZ sports people. They caught up with Jerry Jones, and we're going to play this audio right quick. And I promise you I'll get out y'all hair since the low participation is very, very, very much so warranted, right? The Cowboys out of the any stretch of imaginations of any public trust or any positivity. But I'm just going to play this audio right quick, okay? And I appreciate y'all.
It's been a drought since 96. At 96, right? But I want to know, what message do you have for the fans who, they just...
It's Jerry Jones.
They want some hope. They want some... What do you...
Of course. And I would, first of all, start with this Super Bowl. I would look at these teams. Look at New England. Look at Seattle. They're made up of, for the team, first-year quarterbacks for the team, the system.
Right.
The coaches are fresh on this thing. So the point is, in this day in the NFL, you can go from a pumpkin to a carrot.
Right on.
So,
You say you can go from a pumpkin to a carrot, and everybody knows that, it is for what it is. At this point, Jerry Jones knows it, right? And the drought is a real one, right? And we're not the only ones, but technically we are the ones that most people talk about.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And you can do it in a year, or you can do it in 2 years. That is very promising to me. I've been there. I understand how it's done. I understand how it's not done.
We got a super chat. Appreciate you, D in the chat.
At D in the chat, $10. Support.
Oh, man, appreciate you, D in the chat. I really thank you so much. And for those who are here watching and tuning in, even during the off season, I appreciate you, D. That means a lot. Appreciate you.
I do want to say that it's highly competitive out here, as competitive as anything I've ever been involved in. But, for instance, we're redoing our defense, and I've changed so much about the approach that we're going to have with coaching the defense.
Yeah.
So kind of when you work for yourself like I do, you have to change what's in the mirror, so to speak.
That's right, 100%. We all do. And I wondered, Michael Irvin, I ran into him the other day. He's actually really high on next year. He said kind of something similar. He said, "Man, you see what we're doing? Do you recognize what we're doing?" And he basically said that he wants to bring belt to ass. His famous. He wants to bring it to the pros. He wants to bring it to Dallas. Are you? Oh wow.
Yeah. So if we can bring that BTA to the team, that'll be nice. Being able to say those things. I hope by the time the draft comes around that the love affair back for football will be back into the graces of things. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in and being part of this. This is not an easy thing to talk about, right? Definitely not easy at all. Yes, indeed. Boy, we all sweating over here because of the simple fact of this, and we try to stretch out these conversational pieces. And I try to give you guys content even when we are in the desolates in the lows of the lows time frame around here. And I promise you guys, it's our turn, D, in the chat. Appreciate you. I promise you guys, I would try to do my best not to do any clickbaits or any wild activity as it relates to me doing something out of the norm. Yes, indeed.
At Darren
DP.
_Posey_SR $5.
Appreciate you.
Hola. Have you heard anything about the presser for the defensive staff? I am actually interested in what these dudes have to say.
We all are. From what I was told, shout out to John Machota, that they're still up on trying to clear out their entire staff. Now, we did sign another guy just last week, and his name is, and I'm gonna pull this up so everybody can see. And we signed him. You know, the Cowboys hired SMU defensive coordinator Scott Simmons, right? And they're about to sign another guy named Brim. So what they want to do is do one big presser, or do a big presser with Christian Parker, and then he can go down his thought tracks of who's on his staff, what he's trying to implement, what the new direction we're trying to go, and all of those things. So yes, there will be a situation and scenario that the Cowboys will do the presser, but we all are waiting for our turn to get this information in. And appreciate you, Troy, and thank everybody, man. Y'all hit that like button and share this content, and let's get things moving and grooving during this off-season conversation. And I appreciate you guys so much. And that's Scott Simmons right there, Simone, I meant to say. Scott Simone. And just to give y'all a background on his pedigree, the Cowboys are doing more and more, bringing more and more people in that's our educators, trainers, teachers, somebody that can teach these guys the right and proper technique. And just to give you a backdrop on this one, this is Scott right here.
You got a rabbit, you toss the ball. We always felt like it's kind of a cluster, the angles, you run into people, you can't coach the ball carrier up the right way. So we got this from the Saints about, I was at University of Memphis, I think it was 2018. So what we do is we have 5 guys up, okay, and we have 4 cones, okay, starting 10 yards every 10 yards, okay. There's a towel on the top of the cone. So there's 5 guys for four towels essentially, okay. So Coach Crumb's over here on this side, Coach Hunley will be over here on this side, and we have similar positions. So this will be linebackers right here, okay. The 2 points, obviously we want great effort in this drill, but I think this is a really good drill to teach them not to chase color, okay?
Listen properly.
They've got to react whichever way we point, okay? And then we want to see them in-flight adjust so they are not chasing color right here. So obviously the first guy should be able to take the closest angle right here. So like right here with the middle guy, we would like to see him in-flight adjust quicker to give himself a chance, okay, on this back cone, okay?
All right, so I know a third of you guys probably never played organized football or professional football or middle school or high school football, but one of the things that I can literally point out even in his illustration here, which is good, and I'm not going to bore you guys with more of that type of conversation, is that these small things that we needed is right here in front of us now. It's the little things that you do, the pursuit, the angles. And, of course, these guys made it to the biggest and the brightest of the stage, the NFL, but you always and you will forever need a refresher. You forever need coaching to get you right. You forever need coaching to tell these guys to reinstall their philosophy and their beliefs. Slow feet don't eat, right? Hey, get there. It's always still slow until you know. That's always a thing that's in the NFL, especially with linebackers. One can argue that linebacker play been abysmal for the Cowboys in the last 10 to 15 years. No consistency in the linebacker play. And maybe you can say in the last 30 years, 30 seasons, that we haven't had a consistent level of good linebacker play. You get a little sprinkle of Sean Lee here, get a little sprinkle of Sean Lee there, and then you get a little hope from 2018 with Leighton Vander Esch, and you sit back saying, oh, yeah, we finally got us one. And then he get hurt, broken and bruised and battered up. And then you use a first-round draft pick out of Michael Parsons, right? And it's going back, just revisionist history and saying, okay, now we finally got our linebacker, but our insufficient need at edge rusher, we moved our linebacker that we drafted at edge rushing, right? And now we still never completed the middle of the field, right? And if you look through the history of the Cowboys, the time that they absolutely won the Super Bowl and lifted up the Lombardi Trophy, is the time when they had solid and legitimate defense. You're not going to have a legitimate defense nor a solid defense without the main thing as it relates to the main thing, and that is a linebacker in the middle of the field. Someone that can direct the troops and let them know, hey, you got foresight responsibility. Hey, it's up to you to see hole, hit hole. You got to shoot through A or B gap. To alignment and assignment, if you don't have that, then you're not going to win games, especially when it get down to nut crunching time, right? You know what I'm saying? So those are things that you have to understand, right? And when I look at like the bare minimum of things, right, there's always hope for us, right? And that hope will be the Cowboys going in here in this draft, making sure that they get the right pieces. Now, there's two guys in this draft that I would not be mad at all. Of course, a Caleb Downs is a premium, creme de la creme. But a Sonny Styles, as I'm looking back at everything, I would not be mad at all for a Sonny Styles. I would not be mad at all with the 20th pick. If possible, we can get a C.J. Allen, by the way, right? But we got 2 first-round draft picks, and we got to hit on these. We can't miss this opportunity, Cowboys Nation. I appreciate y'all. All right, so if I look at this mock draft presented to you by Tankathon, we're just going to skip. We only focusing in on the star. I won't be mad at 6'4", 235 to 240 pound linebacker, Sonny Styles. I would not be mad at that. If I hear that, of course we would want Caleb Downs. I get all of that, right? But I would not be mad at it. If you look through tape and you say, ultimately, what do the Cowboys need? They need help in the middle of the field, right? And if you look at the 20th pick, of course, they got us going with Cassius Howell, and I would not be mad at that. I get it. Individually, you may say, hey, this guy got X, Y, and Z factors. He got long arms to be 6'2", but he's really not moving the needle as relates to some of the things that he should be able to do on this level, because we've seen him get shut down in a few games. I get it. But 11.5 sacks, almost led the conference and pressures. I'm looking at him as a piece that you add to the equation, right? And not the end-all, be-all. None of these draft picks can work only by themselves. It can only work perfectly depending on which system that they go to, is what I'm trying to get you guys in the mindset. And what we also got to embody, ladies and gentlemen, is what we thought last season from a principle, philosophy, teaching. There's not many people bloviating and talking highly of the staff that Matthew Eberflus put together. But they talking good about this one, right? And that's neither here nor there, right? All right, so let's go into the Caleb Downs thing. But before we go into this, we have to talk about parameters of Jerry Jones' budget busting and how likely the trade saga will be. And bear with me. Let me pull this up right quickly. Thank y'all.
The offseason, as we're getting ready to head to Indianapolis for the Combine, where a lot of these meetings are going to take place, how much of this is just a talking point or a narrative versus this is an actual strategy that the Cowboys are likely to employ this offseason?
So you're saying the Cowboys are all in on busting the
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Look, the proof is going to be in the pudding, right? I mean, this is a team. The last big contract, as we know, is Brandon Carr. They had a year there where they signed Nate Livings and Mackenzie Bernardo and a couple of guys to decent contracts, but they've not really been players at the high end of the free agent market. And when was Brandon Carr? What year was
2012.
that? 2012? Mm-hmm. And also the same year, they moved up to number 6 to take Mo Claiborne.
Yep.
Which was a bust-the-budget move in some other respects. So I think you'll see them do things they've not done in free agency in quite a long time. But does that mean, like I saw I think Over the Cap did, the Cowboys can create more cap room than any?
Let's go to Over the Cap just so you guys can see. Right now, we are literally at 29 for your mind in the hole. That's how far we in the shoot, okay?
Anybody, if they restructure all their contracts. Well, you don't want to restructure all.
No, not all of them.
So now you're going to do the big ones. We know they're going to do Dak and CD and Tyler Smith and Oso Odighizuwa. We know they're going to do those, and they'll get $90 million or whatever it is. But I think even with the George Pickens tag, they can do whatever they want to do in free agency and sign good players and help that defense immediately. And we'll see if they do it. I'm hesitant to say they will because we've heard these slogans before and nothing has matched up. But something tells me that this might be a little different because, there is some proof in the pudding of Christian Parker's unlike any sign or any defensive coordinator or coordinator hiring that they've had. So maybe that's the start of doing things different, and that continues into free agency.
No doubt. So when we go over the creations of space of salary cap, we can only go by off of previous historic things that the Cowboys done, right? So now, historically speaking, that's all we got, baby. Is the old wait and see game. And most of us are in that umbrella of thinking, all right, do we have a little hope for ourselves? Do we believe that this organization will do the things the right way? Do we have the pessimistic views of life, or do we look at it optimistically speaking? I don't know, man. Put a 1 in the chat if you're optimistically thinking of this, right? Put a 2 in the chat if you're pessimistically thinking of this. And I know somebody gonna be like, well, I'm realistically thinking of this, man, but it's either one or the other, right? At this point, right? It either you're gonna look at this and say, this Christian Parker thing is a good one, or you're gonna look at it as Christian Parker thing is a terrible one. It's easy to sit back and say, oh, I'm just gonna wait and see. As a fan, it's easy, or as a content creator, it's easy to, well, it's harder to say that too, by the way. So just pick your stance in it and let's live with it, right? What we scared of, man, shoot. Yes, cautiously optimistic. I do like that point, right? Because here's the other thing, and I know Debbie Downers right now is leading the chart for 30 years, 30 seasons, right? They can walk around with their chest out and say, see, I told you so. It is harder to be on the fence where we are at, looking at the positivities of these type of things, if you get what I'm saying. All right, so with the most likely situation, let's listen to this part.
How likely is it, or is it possible that this ends with a Pickens trade as opposed to either the tag or an extension?
I would put it at it's 87.7% tag, and fill in the however you want to divvy up those other two, either extension or trade in the final 12.3%. The last two guys that they've tagged, Pollard and your guy Dalton Schultz, had a nice quote about Dak on your air. They haven't signed a first-time tagged guy since Dez in 2015. Obviously waited a couple of days, got tagged again, and signed his mega deal before the most recent mega deal. So history tells you that it's likely the dude's going to be here playing on the tag. And, some of this stuff is unfair, but what will Pickens people be asking for? What will his agents be asking for? And if he's going to say, well, Jamar Chase is making 40 point whatever million, why even bother talking? You're not going to get a deal done. So just
right now. I like the way Todd Archer is putting this out there. Like, I know our past is our past, right? And it's rough, man, especially going through the cycles of Parsons last season, the cyclings of the season before, Lamb times Dak Prescott, and then the season before that it was somebody else. So every offseason, it's a new story, right? But it's the same situation. And by the Cowboys being the way that they are, we can all argue and say, okay, yeah, the tag is something that they're about to do, which has been reported that that's something that they're going to do. And at this once of a time, I do agree with tagging George Pickens. And I'm going to move it back to me on a bigger screen so you guys can see, and I can see you guys' comments here. On one point, I do agree with tagging George Pickens. But this is where I disagree. He should not play under the tag. There should be a scenario that we can get this deal done. Now, optimistically speaking, cautiously, right, if you want to throw that in there, a deal will get done. That's why I'm looking at it, right? There's too many people, from the quarterback to the other wide receivers to the other players and some of the people on the staff saying, oh, we need this thing called George Pickens, right? Now, here's the caveat. Just because you signed said player doesn't mean that we go into the Super Bowl winning multiple playoffs and beyond, because so much stress factors builds up with this particular team that we absolutely tend to say, hey, he got this money, we better win the Super Bowl. We got this money, we better win multiple playoff wins and all of this stuff. It don't work that way.
Play the tag out.
How likely is...
All right, so that's just how that goes. Should the Cowboys... Oh, I think I want to give a shout-out to my guy. Two other talking points on this George Pickens thing, and then we're going to move on, right? I want to give a shout-out to my guy. I want to say, give me 1 second. I got to find the clip. And I thank y'all. Give me 1 second here. And I think he did a great point of lamenting these type of things of what the Cowboys should do and what it would look like and all of these type of things. So bear with me right here. I want to play this audio.
It's too expensive for the Cowboys to retain since they've already paid CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, etc. Then
Lando, yeah.
I don't blame you, because mass media, mainstream media, has conditioned you to think that way. But it's a fundamental misunderstanding of how the salary cap actually works, right? You know, they're gonna headline and fearmonger their way around the truth with only clicks and views at the top of their minds. They don't really necessarily care about ever telling the truth and being honest about, you know, sports below the surface context, okay? But we know here that George Pickens, if he signs an extension, years 1 and 2, he's going to be a fraction of the cost that the $28 million franchise tag would cost the Cowboys, fully guaranteed, by the way, this year. And then 120% of that next year, approximately $34 million in 2027.
Right.
Okay. If you're wondering where the negotiation starting points are as far as the extensions and the APYs, put those two numbers together. $28 million fully guaranteed this year, $34 million fully guaranteed next year. Add them up and divide it by 2. You end up somewhere in the middle, just under $31 million, roughly, APY. I understand CeeDee Lamb got $34 million 2 years ago. Inflation, you would say, well, okay, maybe George Pickens deserves more. But the Cowboys will lobby and pitch to David Mulugheta 28 this year, 34 next year. Let's get you the 31 APY, which, once again, that's going to be mainstream media's pitch. They're going to be talking about the APY, right, which is incredibly irrelevant to this year and next year.
The APY jargon is crazy.
George Pickens is too expensive next year. Let's get you the 31 APY, which once again, that's going to be mainstream media's pitch. They're going to be talking about the APY, which is incredibly irrelevant to this year and next year as far as making the money work. George Pickens on the tag is more expensive than George Pickens on an extension for at least the first 2 years.
Classic example of what I'm talking about. Look no further
Pay attention to this.
CD Lamb signed for 34 APY just before 2024, correct? $8 million is what his salary cap hit was in year one of that extension, and $15 million is what that cap hit was in year two.
No doubt. So when we start talking APY, and here's what most people tend to do. They look at the APY and they grade the contracts off of the APYs, right? And the problem is with it, for example, you got people that would say, man, Josh Allen, oh my, he did a great noble thing by taking less money than Dak Prescott. Oh man, look at Brock Purdy. Oh, he did a noble thing by taking less money than Dak Prescott. But both of their contracts, in theory, is more than Dak Prescott contract. But people look at the APY, 60 million APY, and then I forgot what Purdy got or Josh Allen. I think it's something like 55 or 54. But both of their contract body work, Joshua Allen's getting paid $330 million, right? And Dak Prescott contract is the life of it is 240, right? Or 250-ish, right? For an example, even Hurts, he's getting paid, I believe, in his sure base body of his contract, $10 million more, but his APY is only 50-something. So it's when you start breaking down the contracts, most people tend to just only look at the APY. And that is the language of the contract that a lot of people are going to look at with this George Pickens. $28 million is a lot of money for us common folks, right? Hey, $8 million, $1 million is a lot of money for us common folks, right? But in the football world, in the ramifications of that, of course, is always a battle of who's the highest paid, quote unquote, wide receiver now. Of course, Chase getting $40 million. Of course, Lamb is getting 34 to 35 million. Of course, Jay Jetter's getting 36, 37, right? So we get all of those things. But as the headline and the head grabbers of the lines is that people will say, hey, George Pickens, in order for him to be happy, he got to get paid that. No, he don't have to. And Mulugeta and Trayvon Smith and all of the athletes first, they got to understand this guy, if he takes this contract now and get a chance to be back into the market with Dak Prescott for these next 3 to 4 years, oh my God, he can ask for the Brinks truck. He can do those things because just by one season alone, 93 receptions, over 1,400 yards, and 9 touchdowns, just off of one season. Can you contextualize what it will be like if he can continue to be here, juxtaposed to trying to find greener grass elsewhere? Is the whole entire body work. And that's just for where we are at, Cowboy Nation. Are you guys enjoying this stream? Put a 2 in the chat. I see the participation is very low. And let me know if you guys are enjoying this stream. If not, we can depart. But before we depart, let me give you this.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code LONG. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
No doubt, download Sleeper. Use promo code LAW. With that being said, with Sleeper, your #1 fantasy app backed by Law Nation Sports, not 2, not 3, but #1. of all of these worlds right here. And on top of that, keep this in mind when you download the Sleeper app, $20 from me to you is added to your particular app there so you can utilize and use it in that fashion. I appreciate you guys so much. Shout out to Mary, says I'm enjoying it. Appreciate you, Mary, and as well as Auntie. Thank all of you guys. All right, so the next segue, and I was going to click on someone else, but we're going to go ahead and talk about this Caleb Downs deal, because I think that he is very ultra talented. I think that he's probably by far one of your better guys that you can draft in this situation. He will be the enforce that we can all need to say, okay, yeah, he's one of the ones. So hold tight for me.
You can get to 6 with 12 and 20?
Yeah, and it's a big-time overpay. But you get Cleveland to flip you back pick 39.
Wow, okay.
All right, so you're right now currently holding 2,050 in draft capital in the first round. Cleveland's first-round pick at 6 is 1,600. All right, let me explain real quick. I'm looking at the Cowboys trade chart, and I'm looking to see what it's going to cost me to go up. And roughly, it's going to cost me 450 points.
So you got extra.
Yeah, so the difference between, like, if I go all in with 12 and 20, Cleveland's got to make up 450 points.
Solid second rounder.
Right. Their pick, 239, is worth 510 points.
Perfect. That's the only way they
can get it.
You get Caleb Downs, though, and you get 39 back. I like this because I think you'll get a similar player at 39 that you would have gotten at 20. I think this is genius asset management.
See, I'm looking at it as, like, let's go get one of the best players in the draft.
Yeah.
I know Too Cool, like, yes, you know. You go out there and you go grab the best player in the draft. Now, crazier things happen. I've seen people mock Downs. He done failed all the way to the 12th spot. The last safety to get drafted in the top 10 was a Jamal Adams, right? The last great safety in the last 5 or maybe 6 years, Kyle Hamilton, and he was drafted in the 14th pick. What was the other guy? Played for the Chargers, Derwin James, right? What number was he drafted? Now, everybody that I mentioned is bigger than Caleb Downs, right? But Caleb Downs is unique. He's a weapon. He's like the damn honey badger in real life, right? Not to give him that name. That name already been taken. So now I'm sitting here saying, what if Caleb Downs don't perform well in the combine? What if he don't run a good 40 time or something? What if his height measures 5'11", 5'10" instead of 6 foot, right? And he don't look like he's 6 foot, by the way. So it could be that he naturally falls to us. Because when I'm looking, and I'm just using my mindset, and you know, the way we look at it is differently from what other teams may look at it, and I get it. But if I'm looking at it, and I'm saying here, okay, the Raiders, I'm just going to look at this. Let me just look at this draft log. Hold on. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. He's like a Buddha Baker. This is from Ace Boog. And what round did Buddha and them went? You know, let me know. What pick was he, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm going to pull this up, and we just free-flowing right now, right? We're free-flowing. Vegas, they don't need Caleb Downs. The Jets, they don't need a Caleb Downs. The Cardinals, they don't need a damn Caleb Downs. Tennessee, they don't need a Caleb Downs. Now that you're looking at the Giants, they got a new coach, Jim Harbaugh. They got all of that going on over there. They got a star-studded wide receiver that's going to be battling coming back from ACL and these sorts of things. If I'm the Giants, you got a young quarterback who's recklessly abandonment type of thing that he goes crazy. You need you an offensive lineman, right? You don't need no Caleb Downs. If you the Giants, you don't really need that. You're going to turn that man into a Landon Collins. I don't give a dog if it is Harbaugh over there coaching. Cleveland, you guys had the number 2 defense, number 1, number 2, respectfully. I think a top 5 defense. You don't need a Caleb Downs. You don't. Right? I'm just saying. And then when you look at Washington, you got this skinny leg quarterback that's been battered and bruised. You need Washington. You don't need no help on defense. You do need some help on defense, by the way. But you need to make sure that you strengthen the best parts of your team. And I'm hearing that you need offensive linemen, because you got to keep your skinny leg quarterback up together and upright and all of these type of things. You ultimately need Washington, a wide receiver too, because I heard Debo and them, you're going to cut them, you're going to have to save, 12? You're going to save about a few dollars, so you need to replace that, right? And Scary, he really ain't that scary without another weapon on the other side of him, right? And you need more and more pieces to your quarterback. See how I'm bringing this up? So you don't need a Caleb Downs. New Orleans, boy, y'all need a whole bunch of things. But it's time for y'all to draft a running back. You don't have one. Outside of my guy who's pretty long in the tooth now. I forgot his name, Kamara, right? Kansas City. Now, that's an intriguing one. That's very intriguing. But you need a running back too, or you need KC. Y'all really don't need help on defense. Y'all defense been star-studded for many of moons, right? And when you look at Cincinnati, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the Cincinnati and them talking about that they got the greatest quarterback. He's the greatest thing of all time. And he got no O-line. Well, right now, hey, Cincinnati, get yourselves an offensive line. You don't need a Caleb Downs, right? Y'all need O-line, right? Y'all see what I'm saying? You know? Yeah, KC probably need a running back. And they just hired Murray. Yeah. See how y'all thinking now? So I wouldn't trade up nothing to go get Caleb Downs. I can't really, even though he may be, quote unquote, the best player in this particular draft, but you can really look at it from a real objectivity or a statement of need for your particular team. You can't really paint that picture where Caleb Downs really need to be at. He need to have that silver and blue and the star on the side of his helmet, right? Yeah, no, come on, man. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Look, just be patient. Be waiting for it. Because what I really, on my concoctions there, right, is that I'm creating the mindset that if Caleb Downs fool around and measure out to be 5'11", 5'10", or whatever he may be, I'm hoping more of the latter, like 5'11", then you really can't really. Because if these guys mess this up, let me see if I can pull that big board back up. If they mess this up, they lose their jobs. You know what I'm saying? So this is how the hold on, I'm going to the mock draft. Let me go to mock draft. And they got where they got Caleb Downs going to. Dun. They got him going to Washington. They got him going to Washington on this mock draft. Washington definitely don't need a Caleb Downs. You know what I'm saying? The Giants definitely don't need a Caleb Downs. Put it like this. If the Giants, if the Giants end up drafting the Caleb Downs and Carnell Tate fool around and falls, he should fall to the Washington team. You get what I'm saying? It's crazy though how we can literally look at this and wrap our minds around this and say, okay, let's get it, Cowboys Nation. You know, the Washington team definitely don't need them, but I do love entertaining this.
But we're giving up 20, and like you said, Dawson, we got to a point where it turned into our safety from it. Well, actually, we looked at the corners.
Yep.
We looked at the corners at 39. We looked at our corner from Duke.
Chandler Rivers, the corner from Duke.
We looked at Pons, the corner from
Indiana.
We talked about the safety from Oregon.
Dylan Thieneman.
As well.
Yeah,
so
Dylan.
We were thinking like, well, you don't even have to think about the safety because you went and got Downs.
Right.
So now you're looking at Mesidor, potentially.
Edge from Miami. R. Mason Thomas, the edge from Oklahoma.
Exactly. And we were talking about the corners because we were interested in fixing the nickel situation.
Yes.
Is what we were doing.
And then linebacker-wise, for those that were interested, Anthony Hill Jr. from Texas and Jacob Rodriguez from Tech, along with Jake Golday from Cincinnati, who's got a lot of position flexibility.
Right.
All of those were still options for you at 39.
So the option for 39. We won't be mad at those options, though. By the way, we won't be mad. Now, that will be crazy. Cowboys draft Downs in D'Angelo Pons. That'll be crazy. They'll be like, boy, everybody be fighting over it. But then, no. D'Angelo is just one of my guys that I like. There's another. They talked about this a little bit more into this. Let me see.
Anand Nanduri. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
He tweeted yesterday, Caleb Downs is breaking my brain. He's so good a football player that I can't figure out how to value him on a draft board. I know he's a safety. I know that contract values for draft position, etc. matter. He's the exception. I've watched every snap he played for Ohio State countless times, and I just don't know how a dude is capable of doing the things he does. And then Albert Breer quote tweeted that and said, I feel comfortable saying Caleb Downs is the best football player in the 2026 draft class. He won't be the first pick. You have to consider upside, positional value, all that. And there are guys with more of all that stuff, but no one in the class is a better football player. And then Dane Brugler, the draft guru, quoted that. And here's the money quote right here, Chop. Fun question I've been asking to scouts. Caleb Downs is the best safety prospect you've personally scouted since ... And a few have said ever. Now, you got to remember, some scouts maybe have worked in the NFL for 10 years. And it could just mean it's the best scout and it could be the best safety in 10 years. But it's you've personally scouted, he's the best since when. And there have been some scouts who have told Dane Brugler the best one I've ever seen. Anand.
Ever. Yeah, that's... Now, I'm gonna be 1,000 with y'all. I don't like when people say this is a can't miss hit. You know what I'm saying on players. I just don't like that conversation. Now, not to take away from Downs at all. Not to take that away from him. I get very, very cautious, man, when people say best ever. You know what I'm saying? And I get I get the notion, man. 45 solos last season, 5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 pass breakups, 2 INTs, 2 forced fumbles. I get that. Jeez, 6 foot 205. I'm not finna put him in that room. I don't want all of that pressure on that kid. You know what I'm saying? I think Downs is different. But he ain't the best prospect ever, man. Come on, man. I've seen too much football, and I get the notion. I get the notion that people would say, can't. That's why I love the draft talking heads, right? So if you pick up that and don't beat me up, y'all, because I know y'all ready to swing on me. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all ready to swing on me from here. And with proper systems, and if you go to the proper situation and not being the prisoners of the moments here, if you pick up Emmanuel McNeil Warren, I know he played at Toledo, Alida La Raza, but if you pick Emmanuel, and you put him on Ohio State, in the last 3 to 4 years of his productivity, because when he hit, I know people get to moving around and stuff, right? And get to shaking and laid out like Family Guy. The kid forced 3 forced fumbles last season. His tape is immaculate, right? And I ain't talking about the exception, you know what I'm saying? And he had 2 INTs himself. More pass breakup. He had a sack last season. 36 solo tackles. I'm just saying, he didn't get the liberty to play on Ohio State, right? And I get all what we said. But if you fool around and put him in a system that we have, do you think that he can get some heads turned? You know what I'm saying? And even if you look up the Dillon kid that played for Oregon, if you pick him up, and I know Oregon program is pretty good, but if you put him on the Ohio State team, Buckeyes, do you think that heads would turn? You know what I'm saying? Do you think that he would be a whole lot better than what he is drafted out? Because them are your top 3 safeties in this particular draft. And I like Zeke, Wheatley too. And I like the South Carolina guy, Kilgore, because something is in the water in South Carolina with those guys. So what I'm saying is, let's not get fooled with all of these things. Because the way Caleb Downs is playing, we got to also contextualize the fact that on that same field, they have an Alvaro Reese who's going to create pressure, who go hook the sidelines and get to the quarterback. And then in that same system, you have a Sonny Styles. Styles make fights. There's a premium first-round draft pick too. But you don't have all of that in Toledo. And you don't have all of that in Oregon, is all I'm getting at. So when people say that this is the best prospect of a safety ever, we got to understand that the program that they're in, not to take away from the Ohio State too, by the way, because the last known Ohio State safety to be compared as one of the best, Malik Hooker, he's on this tape. They was comparing Malik Hooker to an Ed Reed in them. You know what I'm saying? Who's old enough to remember the scouting report on Malik Hooker, right? And it never materialized because of the injuries. So I just stay away from, AJ is a real good hitter too, you know what I'm saying? I feel you, from LSU. Yeah. So I just stay away from, oh man, it's the best my eyes have ever witnessed, you know what I'm saying, type of conversation. Not to take away from Caleb Downs. Will I pick him at 12th? Yeah, I'll pick him at the 12th spot. And it would be crazy enough and we've seen crazier things happen before in this world, right? That we can get both of them. You know what I'm saying? That would be nice. That would be nice. For some crazy stuff to happen all of a sudden with the 12th pick. The Dallas Cowboys draft Caleb Downs because something happened in the combines or something happened between here and draft time. And then with the 20th pick, the Cowboys select Sonny Styles. I've seen crazier scenarios happen like that, right? Hey, I wouldn't be mad at all if something like that happened, and it can absolutely happen. Maybe Styles don't do well in the combine, and you get both of those boys here at the same place at the same time. We'll be the Ohio State boys. Yeah. I'm just saying, and that's wishful thinking, but a lot of things can happen, right, between here and now.
But we went ahead and did some mock draft hypotheticals, and I was running our mock draft, and I noticed, okay, Caleb Downs is going to go off the board here at 7, the safety out of Ohio State, to the Washington Commanders. And I said look, what if we just say, bleep it, we're going to try and move up to the 6th overall pick with Cleveland. Let's jump ahead of Washington. Now, this would be under the assumption, of course, the Giants don't take Caleb Downs at 5. Who I believe is the best player in the draft. Cowboys need a safety. Gosh, what position do they not need on defense? Let's make that very clear. But Caleb Downs can help out, play the nickel for you in Christian Parker's new defense. So could we go up to 6? So Brian breaks out the trade value chart, and the Cowboys would give picks 12 and 20 to Cleveland to move up to 6, take Caleb Downs, and in return, the Browns also give the Cowboys pick 39, which is towards the top of the second round. So you still end up with the same amount of picks, but you forfeit pick 20, you're dropping from 20 to 39, and you're getting Caleb Downs. So I love the idea just because ever since November 1st when I started this draft journey watching players, there's not a player that I fell in love with more, and it includes Cooper Beebe, than Caleb Downs.
See, that's a surprise because you love you some Cooper Beebe.
I think Caleb Downs is the best player I've watched in 4 years of doing this so far. I think that he is a jack of all trades. There really is not a weakness in his game. But
yeah. That scenario, now whose scenario is it? Is it Zach or is it Brian Broadus? I think they both came up with a concoction at the same time, right? I don't mind the Caleb Downs thing, but I'm just trying to put the reminder that these are possibilities that can happen. All right, so let's listen to these two other topics before we move a little bit further.
The Cowboys, though, if you did miss it, we've been resetting this one. They've got a new inside linebackers coach. And for the Pony fans, you know who he is. It's your SMU defensive coordinator.
Bear with me. Let me pull this up right quick before we go into the SMU defensive coordinator thing. Because I talked about
start fall camp tomorrow.
All right, so now I got that.
Coordinator Scott Simons, he is going to be the Cowboys' new inside linebackers coach. I went ahead and hit up our friend Leah Simakopoulos over at the Morning News, covers the Stars and SMU. She said, good guy, big Dallas guy, super smart. Rhett Lashley brought him over along with most of the staff from Miami, but Simons and him had worked together previously to that. The 2024 defense was great. This past year they had some ups and downs, but they didn't have the same talent, but he is somebody that the Cowboys are going to absolutely love. What have you heard?
Yeah, well, I mean, Pro Football Focus has the SMU defense over the last 2 years being the 3rd highest in the ACC. So that's pretty strong right there. And then you have some people that are calling him like one of the more creative minds in college football over the last several seasons. Another young defensive brainiac here added to the Christian Parker staff, and they've dipped into the college ranks plenty to fill this staff out. And I'm definitely excited to see where this thing is going. If for nothing else, it's something new. Like we haven't seen this on the defensive side of the ball. Like I can't remember the last time where it was just like young all over the place, trying to get a hodgepodge of different coaching trees, the Kirby Smarts and the Jesse Minter coaching trees and things like that, bringing it in. So
mixing in a little bit of Brian Flores with Marcus Dixon.
Yeah. Like so far, this Christian Parker era is it's off to an exciting start.
It is, absolutely.
before it can even go, But let's listen to newly added Scott's expectations, and I played this on my videos before, but let's listen to it.
A lot of times we can miss is how do we take the field as a group, okay?
Listen properly.
I've coordinated every coach that I've worked for, with the exception of one, has been an offensive head coach. I worked for a defensive head coach one time. It was the longest year of my life. I'll never do it again. Offensive head.
Listen to that part right there. There's a valuable ruby gem.
Coaches, most of you guys probably that are coordinators, a good amount I would imagine work for offensive head coaches. And, there's, we can all bitch and complain about we don't get to tackle enough or some of the things. But at the end of the day, I appreciate working for, a really good offensive head coach, one, because he stresses us on defense. But two, he lets us do our thing and keep the main thing. So one of the first things is how we take the field. We're going to sprint full speed on the field, and we're going to be full speed off the field. Usually I'm in center field. I'm the 12th man during practice, trying to make sure that if they throw the ball over the middle that I get in the way. But when those 4-play rack is done or whatever situation we're in, we're going to be full speed sprinting our guys off the field to finish as well. And I think that's a little thing that's a big thing. Making sure the mentality is right from day one, how we take the field, no different than, you guys teach them when you walk on the white lines, like there's no walking on the field. Once they hit the ground, running, we're moving wherever we're going. Second,
I love that. No walking on the white lines, right? And things that people don't like is boundaries, right? There was a report a couple of weeks ago about Michael Parsons and Trayvon Diggs being at practice loafing, right? And it was one of those things that it was reported as these guys are considering themselves better than the other guys based off of X, Y, and Z factors, right? And it made some news. But if you establish boundaries, people who disrespect you will not like you, right? People who's not all the way in will really, really not like you. For example, for those who are watching this stream now, if there are boundaries set up even within the confines of your family members, they will not like that. Although they don't like that, they got to respect it if you set the boundaries, because that's what expectations is all about. Boundaries got to be set in stone. When you get on that field, there's no loafing, there's no walking. To your point, you better jog, you better skip, you better get there with haste. And what that do to the mindset is that when it's time to put on that armor to fight, you're already
Spartans, prepare for glory.
Most certainly. On top of that, when we go into the mindset of boundaries being established in place, a thief, let me put him in here, a thief.
Thief! Stop, thief! Come back, thief!
Don't like boundaries, right? A gated community is established with boundaries. You got to have the PIN code to get in there. A thief don't like it. Somebody that see those type of things, they either going to turn their nose up and say, oh, they think that they're better because they got a gated community. But then there are those who would say, man, I'd like to be a part of that community because they got the boundaries set in stone. There's no solicitation in this community. Everybody got their grass cut at the same time, right? Oh, the mailman knows how to act right, right? And put the mail in the right proper spot. There's no package thieves in this community because it's gated. Everybody knows that they are under the spotlight of the camera. So when you set strong boundaries, there's strong expectations. The moment somebody that don't belong within the confines of the boundaries that you establish, one person can go into that community and they say that person don't belong here. Woo! That person need to get escorted out. You know what I'm saying? They going against what we trying to establish here. That's culture building right there. It's going to go over a lot of folks' head. And Jared says that's HOA. Those who can't afford HOA respect HOA because they understand the ultimate vision of a HOA. But for those who's in the confines of that gated community that can't stand HOA, they are
Thief! Stop! Thief! Come back, thief!
the ones that don't belong, right? Because you're trying to establish a certain tone, a certain community, a certain live ability or life ability that everybody's on the same accord, right? But it will always be those ones that say, hey, I'm in here and the HOA is whooping my ASS because I didn't cut my grass for this week, or my gate got missing holes in it, right? And they didn't restain a fence. No, it's a certain look that I'm trying to get for my community. It's a certain expectation that we must uphold in my community. So no, there should be no trash all over the streets. No, there shouldn't be people taking forever to put their trash bags out there on the front yard when it's supposed to be on the backside, right? It's supposed to be in a certain container. Those who don't like it will complain about it. But for those who operating within the confines of the expectations, they know that I got to run out there on the field. They know that I got to make sure that my uniform is up to code. They know when it's time to get into the real formalities of war, that these are the boundaries. These are the expectations. One of my favorite movies is Spartan. You know what I'm saying? You know, and one of the things that they had was they had boundaries. And let me see if I can find my piece right here because I got to say it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Spartans! What is your profession?
But in that series or in that movie, there was a guy that was born and birthed from a Spartan warrior's wife, right? And what happened in that series, I think that he was handicapped to a degree. He was disfigured. And he always wanted to be a part of the troops. And when it was time to get in line to fight for war, he had the whole suit on, had the battle armor. And I think one of the guys asked him, I see what you have here is truth in your heart. And you want to be a part of the troops. Lift your shield. And he said, he couldn't lift his shield up high enough. He was like, he couldn't lift his shield up. And he said, to be a part of this crew, it's all about protection, pursuit, and fight. I'm paraphrasing, right? But he didn't dismiss them. He said, you can still be a vital part of this crew, but not part of the warriors, because there'll be a weak spot in our defense because you can't even lift your shield. But you can run and carry and get water. You can run and carry and help aid those that's fallen, and you can be still part of this team. But by far, since he didn't like the boundaries that were set in stone, he went to the other side. There are a lot of people. There's a lot of people that's watching here, and a lot of Cowboy fans that's watching here, that dismiss boundaries because they hurt feelings or because you can't be a part of a certain crew. And they would rather cheat and go to the other side. So what I'm saying is, ladies and gentlemen, if this new coaching staff on the defensive side primarily is setting strong boundaries, and you may be athletic, you may run a certain speed, you may be able to jump up out of the building. But if you off sides and you're not disciplined enough, then there's the door. I like that, but it got to be set on the front end. And that's what I like, and that's what I love hearing from this coach right here, even in the confines of this conversation about practice, not a game, practice.
Second thing that I learned as a young coach that I really appreciated from a guy named Paul Simmons, who's the head coach at Harding University in Arkansas, is how to respond to a coach. So we, in our first unit meeting, I explain a situation and I might say, hey, John, coach jumps you and he's chewing your ass out and he might be wrong. But how are we going to respond in that situation? And, he's going to respond, hey, coach, I know I'm going to respond, yes, sir. And teach them that, hey, when adversity happens, we all calm down. We're better when we let those tempers calm down, and then we can talk it out on the sideline. I think.
Yes, indeed. I love that for this guy. Okay, I really do. Let's go back to this part right here.
And we actually start fall camp.
I love the expectations to be set in stone.
The Cowboys, though, if you did miss it, we've been resetting this one. They've got a new.
I think and this
It looks like the Cowboys, man, this defensive staff is really coming together nicely. They went ahead to SMU, our rival, and they poached their defensive coordinator. Well, what do you think about this staff that Christian Parker and Shoddy are putting together?
Yeah, I really like some of the additions, and you're talking specifically about Scott Simons
Yes,
there,
sir.
the inside linebackers coach. And it's funny, I got to call a couple of the SMU games in ACC play this year. I had the one against Miami and the one against Louisville. And the most impressive elements of that SMU team this past year, and if you are a fan of the Ponies, you understand, the defense was really solid this year. And they had multiple guys on that defense that will play at the next level. I think Ahmad Moses, the safety, is a guy that I really liked, and Scott Simons had a big impact on him. He was the defensive coordinator and safeties coach, and Ahmad Moses was one of the more electrifying playmakers in the secondary in college football this past year, led the ACC in interceptions, was a game breaker, especially in that win that they had where they stormed the field against Miami. I like Jeffrey Imba as a defensive tackle up front, who's a guy who was at the Shrine game a couple weeks ago. I mean, they had pro talent on that staff. They had pro talent at Memphis, where he was at as a linebackers coach prior to taking the DC job with Coach Lashley and company at SMU. So he's one of a number of hires on that defensive staff that I like so far, and he continues to build out a group of guys that I think fits the mold from what Dallas is looking for, which is communication, player-first mentality, and trying to fit some of the good things that they had last year. I know there weren't a ton of them, but some of the good things they took from last year and build on that with better personnel in 2026.
It looks like the
I do love that, and then, like I said, the Cowboys moving differently, seeing that we have a little bit further, more people than what we had earlier, just for references and points. Jerry Jones saying, keep the faith. Let me pull this up right quickly, and we'll rehash this one more time for you all. And let me pull this up right quick. Here we go.
It's been a drought since 96. At 96, right? But I want to know, what message do you have for the fans who, they want some hope. They want to. What do you?
Of course. And I would first of all start with this Super Bowl. I would look at these teams. Look at New England. Look at Seattle. They're made up of for the team. First-year quarterbacks for the team, the system.
Right.
The coaches are fresh on the scene. So the point is, in this day in the NFL, you can go from a pumpkin to a carrot,
Right on.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And you can do it in a year, or you can do it in 2 years. That is very promising to me. I've been there. I understand how it's done. I understand how it's not done. I do want to say that it's highly competitive out here, as competitive as anything I've ever been involved in. But
and that's Jerry Jones.
You know, it's
There's Jerry Jones on all of that. But before we go a little bit further into everything, I appreciate everybody for tuning in and rocking in with the nation. If you are in the wheelhouse of collecting things, right, and I'm all knowing that you guys are in the wheelhouse of collecting things. Yeah, Jerry on TMZ is diabolical work. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Be sure to check out our proud partners and Fanatic Live, your number one card collection archive. So if you are in the business mindset of collecting cards and taking those same cards and moving those cards around, please be sure to reach out to our proud partners of Fanatic Live, who's sponsoring this show today, and check out the cards that they have available. You can trade, you can give away some of them. I even have with the link a free pack on Law Nation. So be sure to help support the nation right there. First pack, that's the Law Pack, is presented and brought to you by Fanatic Live. So be sure to be there. I still got my Jackie Robinson card. I do have as well as an Emmitt Smith card that I just purchased. So be sure to check those things out, and we collect them and trade them. And just click the link in the description box before. Let me know. Click the link right here that's in the chat area, and let me see if I can pin it so that all of you guys can see it. Now, at this point of the show, I really appreciate y'all. Let me see how much time. How long have I been live here, ladies and gentlemen? I want to know. I need to know. Let me see how long I've been live. And we can semi-open up the phone lines if y'all want to go a little bit further into this. Or if not, let me see. Well, we can open up the phone lines for a quick second for those who want. And if no one jump in from there, then we can go a little on our merry ways on this beautiful Sunday. Let's get it.
It starts from the first phone call. Most of the time, you're going to talk to Gene Burkett, a 30-year partner. You're not going to talk to some employee that just got put on the phones that day.
There are things that are so crucial, especially if it's a cataclysmic event, to have our experts get out and look at the vehicle, witness statements, photos, the whole thing.
Call Frenkel first. Chosen by the people, feared by the insurance companies. Call Frenkel first.
That's Gene, Scott, and Mark. Man, appreciate them for sponsoring this show. Frenkel and Frenkel, personal injury lawyers, backed by 100 years of combined experiences. They're your number one lawyer group in the state of Texas. Be sure to reach out to our proud partners. They know the terrain, they know the area. So reach out to them. There's 214 on all threes, or 817 in every three you can dial. And if you're ever in a bind, reach out to Frenkel and Frenkel, personal injury lawyers. Now, my hotline for your mind is 657-390-7391 is the hotline for the Frenkel and Frenkel personal injury lawyers. The first person that I have in the mix is from the 210 San Antonio. Not the Spurs, but my guy Too Cool from the 210. You in? Talk to me, man. What you got for me?
Brother, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. How about yourself, bro?
Oh, man, I'm great. I can't complain, bro.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. What you got for me today, man?
Hey, a couple things real quick. Mm-hmm. The first thing, though, I see everybody on the whole trade Pickens, and I think sometimes, man, we gotta slow down, and we gotta look at this flight. We gotta look at this plane that's in flight right now.
Right.
Right. See, they traded a third and they got Pickens. So even if you get, let's just say you get 2 seconds for Pickens, right? What's the return on investment? See, some people look at it and they say, oh, it's just draft capital. All draft capital ain't good capital, because you got to think about, when we look at some of the draft picks we done had these past couple of years, they was high high draft picks, but
right.
Was it something that moved the needle, or was it something that put you backwards? You know, I can make an argument that, you know, going out and get Tristan Hill, going out and get Mozzie Smith, Schoonmaker, and all of those, that shit moved the needle backwards. So everybody that's running around saying trade Pickens, man, that's crazy. Reason why I say that is this: who would you get in the draft that could replace Pickens outside of outside of Tate?
Outside of Tate,
Cardell Tate, who you getting in the draft? I don't like Lemons. I don't like Lemon. I don't like Tyson. Like, he didn't do shit. He didn't do nothing at Colorado.
Right.
I'm tired of some of these one-hit wonders when it comes to receivers. Right now, the receivers from Ohio State, they're damn near approved. They damn near approved themselves already. Cardell Tate to me is a surefire draft pick in the draft right now when it comes to receiver. If you're not taking him, if you trade Pickens, then why trade Pickens?
I wouldn't trade him. The only thing is, I get the notion that people kind of like looking at Pickens from the aspect of the temperaments of like some of the negative things that he did here, and which is very, very much so only media driven. But I wouldn't trade him. I think that the Cowboys would be wiser to work out a deal and get something long term, because he's still young. And like some of the people coming out of the draft, believe it or not, is the age of Pickens. Believe it or not. So I think the Cowboys will be brighter to figure out ways to work out that long term deal. Now, if there's a stat stay at the David Mulugeta and saying that, well, he is not going to play for that money, then the trade and sign will make sense. But I don't think that's the situation there. I think they come up with a deal and get things moving too cool.
So you touched on it the other night when you was on the collective the other day too, right? And that's where I was going with, on the collective. You touched on it. You said basically David Mulugeta and Micah relationship with Jerry was fractured. Jerry didn't franchise tag Micah. See, people not understanding that Jerry Jones could have franchise tag Micah. That relationship was fractured to the point of no return. So Jerry just didn't want shit to do with Micah no more, based off the conversation that he had with Micah. Like you said, that based off the conversation that Jerry had, Jerry said we had a contract in his mind. He thought they had a contract, and that's why that shit went sideways when it came to that agent. Right? I think everybody is taking that and saying like, oh, Jerry this, Jerry that. When Jerry traded for Michael Parsons, when Jerry traded for Kenny Clark, when Jerry traded for Quentin Williams, when he traded for these players that we just got right now, he knew damn well the contract was gonna come into play. He didn't go for I'm all in. I'm swinging for the Super Bowl right now. He didn't get them to go to the Super Bowl right now.
Right.
He got them for what Pickens did this year, and then I think Pickens coming back. I think we're gonna bring Pickens back.
Right.
I think we're keeping Kenny Clark, and I think we're gonna have Williams. I think all three of those players will be a Cowboy. If you do not bring Quentin Williams, if you don't bring Kenny Clark back, if you don't bring Pickens back, everything you did from this point on with Micah, it was for nothing.
Right. It will be for nothing. And the thing is, with Parsons, he could have played last year just primarily on that fifth-year option. And that fifth-year option, I think it was more money than he ever accumulated last year. It was like $24 million, if I'm not mistaken. He could have played on that, which is, I call the fifth-year option. It's like a poor man's franchise tag to a degree. But those are things that you have because of the collective bargain agreement, whereas you get an extra year to see whether or not you want to keep said player or not. Now, of course, the extension that Green Bay Packers was able to do, where they was able to extend and give him like 45, 47 million APY, get all of that. But I think that what ultimately happened is Jerry is an old school mindset. Parsons went up there and talked to Jerry, and he thought that he had a deal done, right? And that was sullied and spoiled everything. But that's water under the bridge now, right? The whole relationship that Pickens got is different from Parsons because he's not homegrown. So Pickens, to this point, is allowing athletes first to do a deal. And what I'm trying to tell Cowboy fans is that the relationship is not severed, because if it was, then Tyler Smith would never have had a deal because he signed under Athlete First as well as David Mulakata. So people got to understand the full picture that, yes, Jerry Jones may have taken it personal with Parsons. Parsons had taken it personal with Jerry, and two alpha males like that, or whatever you want to call it, just didn't work out. That doesn't mean that every deal that David Mulageta now got with the Cowboys are going to go south, because we just seen that there's deals that can still go on. It's just that Parsons deal was a one-off.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. So what else you got for me today, man?
And then, hey, so Caleb Downs, man. I know y'all like. Man, I'm gonna tell you, man. Law, if he runs a 4.3, if Caleb Downs runs a 4.3,
right,
would you not package the 12th pick, the 20th pick together and go up and get him? 4.3, 40.
Now they came up with solutions that you don't have to package up the 12th and the 20th, right? That was the whole conversation piece, that you can move some stuff around and then slide back and give them the 39th, or you have the 39th pick instead of the 20th and all of this stuff. I get with what you're saying with the 430, with the 4.340 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get all of that, but I just think that the Cowboys and Caleb Downs, if they just be patient with that, I don't think that they would have to move up to get him. I just don't think that that's the case. Now, what's your thoughts on it? Because you've been saying Caleb Downs for many weeks now. What's your thoughts on him being here, though?
So I would look. I think Caleb Downs is generational. I think Caleb Downs is gonna run 4.3, 4.4. I think. I don't even think I'm running 4.4. I think Caleb Downs is gonna run a 4.3, high 4.3. Him being here, man, that's a true Swiss Army knife. Caleb Downs can play the nickel. Caleb Downs play the safety. Caleb Downs can slide down and play linebacker. Like, Caleb Downs does that. He plays kick return. He know how to play running back. Like, Caleb Downs is that. He's that guy.
Right.
Like, to me, in this draft, I would rather hit goal and put all my eggs in a basket in the first round and go get him than for somebody like Kendrick fall to us and then becomes another Tarko Charleston. See, I think people get caught up on this draft capital, and you can't be afraid to move up and get somebody. You got to go back to the last meeting when Kyle Hamilton came out. Kyle Hamilton only went to the 14th pick only because the 40 time that he ran. If Kyle Hamilton drop a 4.3 or a 4.4, he does not go 14th pick. He goes higher than 14. He goes 14th pick because he ran a damn 4.6.
So the same news could be said about CD, right? He fell all the way to the 17th spot, and I know that this is on the offensive side. He ran like a 4.5 40 or something like that. He ran a very slow 40 time. Now, we know he got short area quickness, and you know he quick. But when I look at the draft, I look at the total body of some. Now, just as good as the goose good for the gander, do you think if he runs a 4.5, then what will happen for Caleb Downs? And if he measured out at 5'10 or 5'11, what will happen for Caleb Downs?
I think so if he runs a 4.5, I think he slide. I think the height don't have anything to do with it. I think if he runs a slow 40, he slides in the draft. If he busts that shit wide open. If he busts it wide open, man, that man's going top 5, Law. You'll be a fool not to go get him. The only thing I'm scared about, man, if people don't pay attention to, man, you a chess piece away from somebody running the NFC East. People got to pay attention. See, we know what the Eagles got. What we don't know right now is what the Giants and the damn Commanders gonna look like. And them jokers is in the top 10, right? What I can't afford to do is let Caleb Downs be on the other side of the ball, on the other side of the division, with one of them cats.
Now, Caleb Downs is nice, right? And what he does from a football connotation is very spectacular. And you can't quantify that from a stat base, right? Because and I'm not trying to fight you on this topic line there. Mm-hmm. But do you think Emmanuel McNeil Warren, and I'm not saying that he's better than Downs, but he had better stats than Downs last season. Do you think that he could be an impact on this team, or Dylan Thielman? Do you think that he can be an impact on this team because he had similar stats than the Caleb Downs? Do you think that could be a possibility?
Yeah. I think that's anything is possible. We already know that. So yeah, I think they'll be good, right? But then, what do they go in the draft? Because the two you just named, they're not first round material.
They're not first round. That's what I'm saying. They're not first round. But if I'm an Emmanuel, right, and I'm arguing, and I know levels of skill sets is different across the board, but he played in Toledo. You know what I'm saying? So he don't have a Avril Reese. He don't have a Styles on his team, which makes fights. You know. So when you start to look at it in a vacuum, is it up to coaching to see some of the traits and say, I can work with that? You know what I'm saying? And I don't have to spend all of that to get that. Or do you think? Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So you're right. Like the way the Cowboys have put their coaching staff together, they have went younger. The Cowboys defense would have young-minded, like genius-ass defensive side of the ball coaches. Like if you see what they doing, they going like they're picking up that was a phenomenal hire. That inside linebacker coach out of SMU, Parker was a phenomenal hire. Right? When you got old boy Smith from the Cardinals, that's a phenomenal hire. So when I look at that, when I look at everything that they put into play, and you go out there and you get this man whatever player he wants, I just caution people off. I think the best player in the draft is Downs. I don't think Sonny Styles get past 10th pick. I do not got Sonny Styles getting past the 10th pick. I think Sonny Styles is the second best player in the draft. The only thing I caution people on is this. Go back to these mock drafts that these individuals had 2 years ago, a year ago.
Right.
You start doing your data and doing your value. Not you, I'm just saying people, period, right? Ruben Bain was not a top 15 pick.
Right.
Right? You got all them damn quarterbacks, LSU. You got, Levitt, they had to go back to college. You had, look at all the quarterbacks they predicted to be in the first round this year.
Right.
Right? That's going to be in the draft. That's going to be in the fifth round. Right? So when you look at, when I'm looking at a value standpoint, like I know for a fact, Caleb Downs for the past 2 years, they said this man is going to be a top 5 pick. And he held his own with that. Right? He can't, unfortunately, he played for Ohio State. They
right.
When it comes to recruiting, right? But I'm just saying, Law, I would rather, based off history, with us getting it wrong so much as of late in the draft with these 2 first-round picks, if this man drops a 4-3, I'm going to go get him. And the only reason why I say I'm going to get him, because I believe that if the Cowboys make a move, if they go get Woolen, if they start signing free agents, they do not sign a safety, I believe that the Cowboys trade up in this draft and go get Caleb Downs. And I might be a fool, but I think the Cowboys would trade up also if they feel like Sonny Styles is going to be gone, because I think Sonny Styles would be a phenomenal ass linebacker in the National Football League. I told you, his comp to me is from Fred Warner. That is Fred Warner 2.0, but he moves like a damn bullet. That man is way faster than Fred Warner.
No doubt.
Everything he'll be.
Let me ask you this though, in shorts, man. Where did you have Nick Emmanuel Warray that was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks last season?
I had one in the second round at least.
You know what he ran in the 40?
Like a 4.6.
Can you guess again?
4.5 or 4.7.
Can you guess again? South. He ran south of those numbers.
Oh, like 4.4, 4.3.
He ran a 4.38. He's 6'3", 220 pounds. He had a 43-inch vertical. He had 4 INTs coming out that year, 2 touchdowns. 3 tackles for loss.
Yeah, but that's what I'm telling people though. The value wasn't there though. When you look at South Carolina as a program, so like
they've been pumping out some DBs, man. South Carolina, that's what they're known for. Even Kilgore and all of those boys.
They are known for DBs, but what I'm saying though is like when it comes to like the value, that trade, that value wasn't there. The tape wasn't there for him. So now when you look at him now, like when you look at it now, you're going to draft, you say, okay, I got a steal. That's called a steal. That's a steal of the draft, right? Like, for example, let's go to the New York, let's use the Giants.
Right.
Evan Neal. Evan Neal from Alabama. What, top 5 pick, top 7 pick? Where he at now?
Evan Neal's.
Yeah, the lineman that was drafted by the Giants from Alabama.
Shoot, I don't know. I think he's still on the Giants, isn't Evan Neal still on the Giants?
But you know what I'm saying, though? But that's like that's not a return on investment. So that's why I say like you could sit there and you can stay at 5, you can stay at 7. I just think that the Cardinals need so much more than the Cowboys that the Cardinals will be willing to move up, to move back in the draft, even if that's. I just want the Cowboys to just be like, hey, I got a pick next year, I got a 20th pick, I got the 12th pick. Let me make something shake this year. Let me show my fans that we're going all in and we're trying to hit a home run. Even if you keep the 12th pick and then move next year pick a player and this year 20th pick and you move up past the 12th pick. I mean, it's just things like that. I just want the Cowboys to not sit still this year, and I want them to show me that you're trying to make a change by going out and getting the best player in the damn draft if needs be, based off free agency. Everything is based off free agency law. If they don't go in free agency and they don't start making moves in free agency, then it'll all be for nothing anyway.
No doubt, man. Too cool, man. You always a good caller, man. I appreciate you for calling in, Chief. Yeah.
All right, brother.
Yes, indeed. That's my guy. Too cool.
Law.
Oh, what'd you say? Hold on. What'd you say, bro? What'd you say? Oh shoot, he hung up. I'm just trying to paint a picture because I know that if Emmanuel McNeil Warren, if he fool around and run a 4.3 or something like that in a 40 time, and I know we don't have a second round draft pick, and I know he's from Toledo, I know that he's not of the kind of caliber of a player like a Downs or what have you. But damn it, he's more closer to a Nick Emmanuel Warre, however you say that kid's name, than anything, right? 6'2", 215-ish, you know what I'm saying? That frame. And I'm not only looking at it from the mindset of size-wise, right? But if these coaches are coaching, then they should be able to elevate said players, right? And I know for sure, like Corey, how do you say that kid's name? The last name from Oregon. I know for sure if coaching is doing their coaching thing, then they should be able to extract some of that good stuff out of it, opposed to us trading up to get a player. And I think that Caleb Downs is by far the better player out of all of them. But if he fool around and go to a wrong system, he can get washed out, right? So it's all about coaching. In my opinion, I could be a million % wrong with that. I just don't want us to just go all crazy and this sure can't miss guy, right? And then he fool around and be a miss. Yeah, Toledo is a good basketball team. I got Auntie, man, from the 910 UN. Talk to me.
How you doing, nephew?
I'm doing great. I can't complain.
Yeah, just wanted to call. I watched your video on Nate Newton, and I just wanted to say I have a lot to say about Nate Newton. For the people who are calling him a sellout and other names that I will not say here on your live stream, you need to go and do a little history. Class is in session.
Okay.
Let me say, now, I was in college, I told you, during the time when we had our 90s dynasty.
Right.
All of the guys, all of them left everything out on the field. None of them ever said they were tired. They never made excuses. They had cojones, okay? Which is totally different from the players who are playing today. So, all of the people who are saying negative things about him, you need to check yourself, because during our time, Nate Newton is older than I am, but during that time, it did not matter what your political affiliation was. Right. Let me be % transparent, Law, nephew. If President Trump wants to give me Teacher of the Year in the United States, do you think I'm going to say, oh, no, I don't want that? I am going to accept my award. So all of these people who have something negative to say need to check themselves, because with Nate's generation, and then I'm younger than he is,
right?
We did not care what your political affiliation was. What was most important was relationships. So Nate, I'm proud of Nate Newton. He left everything on that field. No one has a right to say anything negative about him, because I know, I watched it again. He didn't get tired. Okay, those guys, all of them, left it on the field, and he deserves. I remember when that happened, and I felt bad for him, but I'm glad, and I'm glad you did that video on that. And if people would go and read the Bible, that's what we need to do more of in this country anyway. Let me give you a scripture, and I'm not a minister or preacher. I don't play one here on YouTube, but 2 Kings 5. If any of you know the story about the prophet Elisha, he was instructed, he instructed Naaman to go and wash 7 times in the Jordan River.
Come on with it.
And then, of course, remember, if you know the story, because Naaman was trying to be healed. He had leprosy. Naaman did not want to go and wash in the Jordan. He felt insulted because he did not like, why are you sending me to the dirty, filthy Jordan? Of course, I'm,
paraphrasing, yeah.
Just trying to paraphrase for you here. And he did not want to do it. But eventually, when he did, his skin was restored. So lots of times, God may be trying to bless us, but we're looking at the vessel that he is using to bless us with. How many blessings have all of us lost because we did not like the vessel God was using?
Come on,
so all I got to say is, I stand with Nate Newton. I do not care who you voted for, law. I don't care. In our generation, we did not care.
Right.
Your relationship with me is more important than who you vote for. So these people need to check themselves.
Most certainly, Auntie. Yeah.
I know what Nate. I sat there and watched those games when I was in college with my father, with my Cowboy family, with my friends. I know what he and the others did for our team. No one has the right to say anything negative about Nate Newton or anyone else who played on those teams. Yes, some of them had some faults, like we all do, but they left it on the field, and they never made excuses. And my, I wish we could get back to those days.
No doubt, Auntie.
That's how I feel about that. That's not fair to do that to that man. I don't care what, these people are calling him names. I'm proud of Nate. And again, if President Trump calls me and tells me, hey, I have an award for you, Teacher of the Year, hey, I'm game. I'm going to get my award. So
no doubt.
No doubt.
No doubt.
I've worked hard. I've worked hard in my career. So any awards that God is going to have someone bless me with, I'm going to accept all of my awards. I do not care if there's a D or an R behind a person's name.
No
and
doubt.
That's just where I am.
Appreciate you, Auntie. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Keep up the good work, nephew.
Thank you. Thank you. That's reviews. You'll see her in the chat. Glory, glory, glory.
Oh, look at my African American over here.
Oh my gosh, man. The world has turned so political, whereas whether you are a Dem or Republican, conservative, libs, however they call them now, them damn liberals, you know what I'm saying? And they force you to be, one side or the other, right? Like you can't have your own independent thought. You gotta be thinking of the massive of whatever political party you are, and you can't be an independent. You got to pick one side or the other. And a lot of people run away from political talk tracks, but I mean, I'm going to have Nate Newton, believe it or not, on the show Tuesday. We doing a kickback for the HBCUs, players that went to the HBCUs. So we're going to do a thing with a few of the Cowboys players as well, and those who went to a HBCU And I get the sellout things and all of that stuff because it's the message for where it is. I receive backlash, even death threats here on this channel, right? Way back in 2017. Now you don't know whether or not you take death threats and all of this stuff as actual truths or not, right? Just because you had a strong opinion on things, right? But as a person that looks at content creation from a different lens, I get it. You know, I get the emotions that's tied to things. I get the frustrations of people when they don't like certain things, right? And so I had some, how dare you? How dare you like the Cowboys? Look at Jerry Jones, man. He said toe the line. Y'all all are sellouts. Y'all should go against the grain. Like, I'm sitting here like, man, wait a minute. I was a fan of this team before Jerry bought the team, right? Shoot. I'm going to be a fan, hopefully, as long as I can, even when he's gone, right? So his thought track shouldn't be a part of mine, right? And what he do for this team and what they decide to do for this team shouldn't be a part of mine, but political and politics is a part of it, right? And then people say, well, stick to sports, right? And I get that part of it, right? But sports has always been woven in with the mindset of sports, right? Shoot. Law, I retired this October. Brother, it's up, you know. Come on with it. Congratulations on your retirement in October, bro. I thank you so much for your support. I really do. But I just don't want y'all to miss the meat worrying about the potatoes. That's old Mississippi saying. Don't want y'all to do that. Nate Newton now got the ability to walk in certain rooms with that felony conviction off of his record. He can now get certain sponsorships and duties. What the ultimate crime is, and even though that was under his own powers, and y'all can look it up because he probably just supposed to be getting out, you know what I'm saying, in the next few years, you know what I'm saying. Not most of us are privy to get pulled over with 175 pounds of that sticky icky and not serve at least 5 to 10 years in that prison cell. But as they say in the word, you know, favor is not fair, right? And that's just how it is. And that's life. But I really commend Nate Newton on his success, because what the ultimate crime is that you got a 6-time All-Pro. Now, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champ. And to contextualize it, played 113 games in the National Football League, right? Name Nate Newton. I think he played for only 3 teams, Washington, Cowboys, and if I'm not mistaken, did he go to Carolina for a cup of coffee? But Nate Newton been a staple piece, and you can't build the Great Wall of Dallas without Nate Newton. Right? And especially John Madden know how he used to always circle Big Nate Newton and these type of things. So I tend to look at the more positive things that he was able to do versus the negative things. And there's nothing wrong with saying thank you to someone, even though you may disagree with their political stance. Or even if you do agree with their political stance. There's nothing wrong with Big Nate Newton saying, thank you, President of the United States, for pardoning me. You know what I'm saying? That's not him selling out. That's just him saying thank you, right? If someone hold the door up for you, you're supposed to say thank you, you know. And they might shut the door on the next person. But that shouldn't be your mindset towards that person because they did something nice for you, right? And that's just the reality of everything. So it is for what it is, Cowboys Nation. But Nate Newton belongs in the Hall of Fame. And maybe, just maybe, by him being pardoned of this felony conviction thing, right, of 175 pounds of that stuff, that maybe he can get entered into the Hall of Fame. 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champ. that blocked for Troy Aikman as well as Emmitt Smith. So now maybe we can look at the positive aspect of it, and he can teach people, hey, these are the things that you need to do versus these are the things that had happened to me, and now I'm all broken and bruised and all of that stuff. So I commend Nate Newton for saying those things. And before anybody can say anything else negative, let he without saying cast the first stone. And even from a biblical aspect, just do me a huge favor and look up Isaiah, 45:7. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many things that we can look at, ladies and gentlemen. But I got the next caller on the line. Appreciate y'all time. And that's from the 979. But when I held that 9, all I can see was my mama's eye. What you got for me today, bro?
Man, what's going on with you, Law? As always,
Yeah.
man, I appreciate you giving me a chance to speak.
Mhm.
Yeah, but shout out to Nate Newton.
Yeah, big shout out to him, man.
That whole thing worked out for him. You know what I'm saying? So neither here nor there on that. But man, I know everybody, man, been talking about this whole let's trade up for Caleb Downs thing, man. I don't know. I just don't think that they should go about that. I think they should just stick right where they at, and just let the chips fall where they need to. And if they don't get Caleb Downs, go for Sonny Styles. I think that still will be a good pickup. I still think the safety position should be addressed. Hopefully they do address it, especially with Christian Parker here. But only time will tell with that. But I guess what my big question is that do you believe in your heart that you think that there's a possibility that when it comes to free agency, you think that the Cowboys will do a much better job this time around as far as getting the right guys for this system?
Yeah, but we will see it a mile away before it occurs, because you will see the restructuring of contracts. You see the movements of contracts. And if we don't see that, next month I'll be waiting for, I believe, the new year open in March the 13th or March the 14th, something like that. Right. I'll be waiting to see, like, what are the tangible things that can happen. A lot of people this time of season, it's the lion season, right? Like, they would say, yeah, I talked to David Mulugeta just the other day, and David Mulugeta somewhere in Hawaii sipping on some Mai Tais. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. I bumped into X, Y, and Z guy, and he said, and then that X, Y, and Z guy is Japan, right? So I do know that the Cowboys, like, it's desolate of news right now that the Cowboys now got to carry the league. That there's going to be more and more people with strange topics and conversationals about the Cowboys. Nobody's watching this Winter Olympics. The ratings is all-time low right now, or whatever's going on with the Olympics thing that's going on. So, of course, people going to fabricate some things, man, to get things moving and grooving. But I'm gonna try to create content for the sake of content, but I'm in the mercy seat. I'm in the mercy seat of where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? Of talking about these conversations. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When one thing that I heard that was kind of interesting. Now I don't know how much of this is true, but I was hearing something about the possibility of Brian Schottenheimer being on the hot seat already, which I think that's just kind of like what you were just talking. You were just saying, like, it's just people need to make up some stuff to get some content out, or just make something on news. I don't quite understand how you can say that he's on the hot seat going into his second year,
right?
Like, especially with the fact that he's got the number one offense. Okay, that doesn't mean a hill of beans which you have in the defense as bad as it is. And I just don't understand how some people can expect him to be able to, win a Super Bowl, let alone get into the playoffs with a defense that's that bad just because they have an offense that's so good. And, people who think that, that ain't no excuse. It's like, well, how about those Patriots? I can't remember what year it was, but it was the year they had Randy Moss and they put up all those numbers. And, when they went up against the Giants, I think they only scored like 14 points in that Super Bowl, or the time when they had the greatest show on turf, and they had Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner, Holt, Bruce, and all those guys, and they barely put up any points against the Patriots that year. So, I mean, it happens. Like, even top offenses get shut down, even at the biggest stages. So that's why you need a quality defense. So, but I don't want to keep rambling and babbling on, but man, as always, man, I appreciate you giving me a chance to speak, Law.
No doubt, man, DP. Great conversation, man. He's 100,000,000% right.
Goodbye.
And before I go, we got 2 other super chats, and I'm going to expound upon what he's saying. Law, can you pull up mock draft from last year? Tell the listeners where Mendoza, Bailey, and Bain Jr. and Reese all were projected to go. This from Tuku 1524. None of those guys was projected to go in the first round, though. I can literally probably assume that. Now, in order to keep the flow of the show going, that would be like a homework assignment for me to pull up last year's mock draft. Too cool, and I can't just do that on the fly unless you have a link already provided for me. All right. Too Cool states also, again, man, I appreciate you so much, Too Cool, for your support. He says, scared money don't make money. What's the point of having the acres and not having the value, basically? Don't think that teams are 13 and 32 picks won't come up and snatch it. Oh, you talking about the ideal of someone else snatching? Yeah, I would love to hold the 12th pick for ransom, right? In actuality, there's only about 10 to maybe 15 true first rounders in this draft. It could be only probably the top tier of like 9 or 8 or 9 or 10, I meant to say. So I do agree with where we are at. We are right there at that spot. And it's better to have a known commodity versus the unknown. But the way the draft work, there's no guarantees. It's a crap shot, right? There's whenever someone say this is a can't miss pick, for every Josh Allen, there's a Josh Rosen, right? That was drafted in the first round. For every, what's that wide receiver that was drafted a couple years ago? I think his last name was White. He went to the Chicago Bears. He was probably considered one of the better wide receivers, never materialized into anything. And there's throughout the draft, whereas you can get a Tyreek Hill down the stretch that can be your better wide receiver because of questionable character things. So it's just that I love the draft season, but the draft season is always the season that everyone got the need to be right syndrome, right? Even some of your favorite content creators or your favorite draft analysts, they are guessing. They're shooting a shot in the dark, right? Because there's too many things that you got to quantify. The program. You got to quantify the other talent that's around them. The levels of coaching staff, right? And the environment that they are in. There's so many unknowns. So that's why I look at the draft like, okay, that's cool. But I know in free agency, I know what this guy 3 years of productivity is. Or I know how this guy handled the bright lights or what have you. And then you factor in the other consequences of going in free agency, right? So I think a little blend, a mixture of both would be the best, not blessed, but the best way to go look into things, right? And that's how I look at it. But to answer my guy DP's last conversational piece as he called in, yes, this is the official lying season for anyone to say that Schottenheimer's in the hot seat, right? At least let the man get his toes wet. He haven't even jumped into the pool yet. You know, he only been in there. He only been on his team for 1 year as the head coach, and it would be crass to anybody to write an article saying, hey, you know, maybe he's in the hot seat. The only hot seat that it should be is that the Cowboys must go out there and not sit on that seat and get off of their backsides and make some willings and dealings of contracts that's on this team and finding players in the free agency to help elevate this team to fit the mold and the identity of this defense. Is what I'm looking at. Cowboys Nation, as we about to depart from each other, I would tell you guys that life is too short to be worrying about the small things. It is. It's too short to be worried about the small things. It's too short to be fighting over political identities. It's too short to be worried about a person that made an impact for this team, like a Nate Newton, and only see the negative connotations of it by him saying thank you to someone who the commander in the troops, the chief executive of these United States. We can call it the divided states of America too, but that's life. I love this country. I was born here, molded by it, shifted by the dynamics of Mississippi. And if it wasn't for my background, you guys wouldn't be getting the rudiments that you're receiving to this day. Write this down: every tub must sit on its own bottom. That's a Mississippi saying. But you must know and identify where you're going. There's only 3 positions in life. And it's like a stock option almost. It's like trading stocks. Either you're going to buy or sell or stay put. Now, my direction in life, I always say this too. My direction is keep moving. You got to keep moving. Anybody that you read in the Quran, the Torah, the Bible, any story that you read, it's all about movement. They don't talk about the person who stood still. They talk about movement. 3 types of people. A person that's gonna watch things happen. A person that's gonna say, what just happened? And a person that goes out and make things happen. So what is your move? What are you moving with? Even though we can live in these worlds and understand the torment and the pain and the sufferings that happen to the people that look like me. The first slave ship was named Jesus. You get what I'm saying? So people can take a positive thing and still turn it negative. The first time you look at these teams in the National Football League, they didn't accept people that look like me. One can argue that people that look like me, the Aboriginals, that we are in every stretch of this plain or every piece of the grounds that you walk on. And the more and more people open up their eyes, we are all just the melting pot of this world. We are all after the same common goal, and that's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I'm not finna alienate the people because their forefathers may have done something different than what they believe in. Because at the end of the day, the people that support me, all of the people that support me don't look like me. All of the people that support me are not from a certain area or a certain political agenda. I got people that support me that from this side of the left side. I got people support me from the right side. Man, I got people that flew in from another country to come here to support me. Because we are representing the silver and blue and the star on the side of the helmet. We may not look the same, we may not talk the same, but baby, it's all in the love of how about them Cowboys. And that what unifies us all. That what makes us all in the same pot, regardless of what hue you are, regardless of how tall you are, or how big or how small you may be. But keep this in mind, that we are all in love with this same team, and that's why there's one love, one nation, Law Nation. Let's put that in the mindset. One love, one nation, Law Nation. And by the way, I'm not trying to outspeak my wisdom teeth, but nobody is above the law, ladies and gentlemen. But if you want a thing bad enough to go out there and fight for, to work day and night, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep, if all of your desires of it makes you quite mad that you don't get tired, and it makes you hold everything tawdry and cheap, if life itself seems empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and dream is about it, if you will gladly go out there and sweat for it, fret for it, or plan to lose all terror of your mind, if you would simply, just simply go after the things you want with all of your capacity, strength, sagacity, with faith, hope, confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold or poverty or the famish or fame or the sickness about your brain can turn you away from the things you want, if dogged and grim and besieged and beset with the help of Almighty G-O-D, like JV Boy said in the chat, you will get it. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, Trump, roll me one of them billions, man. I need about 100,000 installments every week. I'm just messing with y'all. DC for life, not for short.
Look at my African American over here.
Appreciate y'all. One love. Mama said that there'll be days literally just like this.
I just wanna run it up. Can we check or something? I've been really in the field, let up, I've been really in the field, let her rush, I let her feel. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Don't need no deals, I make the deal. Have to take it to a meal. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
JD from DC, appreciate you. Super Chat, D in the chat, appreciate you. Darian Posey, appreciate you. And thank you, last but not least, Too Cool 1524. Come on. I love those guilt payments. Shoot. I would love for Jerry Jones to feel bad about a certain thing that he left out. And he said, you know what? I'm going to donate $100,000 a month to Law Nation Sports. Law Nation nonprofit coming around the corner. I want Jerry Jones, Trump, and all of them boys to give me so much that they say, yeah, man, that Law Nation's a sellout. Yup, I'll be selling all the way out to help all of y'all out. Come on with it.
Baby girl, it's nothing real as this. Can't trust a soul, I keep a hammer, call it too legit. I've been really in the field, let her rush, I let her feel. Lately, I just wanna run it up. Don't need no deals, I make the deal. I have to take it to a meal. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
Ooh, I just wanna run it up, baby.
Kinda check us out. Evil world we live in. Lately, I just wanna run it up.
Oh, boy said play the other Run It Up song. I got you.
Lately, I just wanna run it up. Yeah, I just be off the dome.
Come on.
I never own no chrome. Too many foes and clothes. I be at home alone. I be in zones alone. I be on road alone.
Let's switch it. Yeah.
They can come closer than close. Tryna run it up. Original, they never will be.
What we tell them?
I wake up,
Law.
thumb down that check. No drip this, tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I tell them run it up. I wake up, thumb down that check. No drip this, tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I tell them run it up. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me.
Yo.
I'm number one up on that court, I'll make me gritty.
Come on.
The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy.
Can't call all lazy.
Put in my hours, send the invoice and they pay me.
Yo.
I need 6 rings like MJ.
Come on, let's get the 6.
I wake up,
Law.
thumb down that
Nation.
No drip this, tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I
Tell 'em.
run it up. I wake up, thumb down that check. No drip this, tell them run it up.
Oh my God.
No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I
stretch.
Run it up. Y'all gon' make me take that trip way out
to the draft, baby.
I call up Nigeria, come through in a hurry.
Yeah.
Those London boys don't come to play, you should get worried. One false move, find yourself, they getting buried.
Oh my God.
Dance with the devil, used to love playing those games. Made some bad decisions that brought my mama pain.
Not
I
mine,
made
baby.
a promise to her, swore that I would change.
With the 12th
I'm
pick,
on the come up, bet
the
I
Cowboys
live up to
select.
my name.
Law.
I wake up, thumb down that
Stretch it.
No drip this.
Y'all saw I messed up. I said stretch instead of flex.
No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I tell 'em run it up.
Come on.
I wake up, thumb down that check. No drip this, tell 'em run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I tell 'em run it up.
Until next time, DC for life, man. If we offended anyone today on this long show, you just offended, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Not everything should be offensive. But if it is, hey, it is for what it is. Until next time, DC for life, not for sure. Peace. I'm about. One love. Happy Sunday to you all. And Rewind Gang, keep it going. Let's get it. Peace. One love.